So, I was having this debate with a friend of mine.
Sure.
And I wasn't too sure. There was, it's something that sort of comes up from time to time that I see online. And,
Sure. Can I ask anything you want?
the Aisha
Yes, sure.
story. What's
Yeah,
that?
okay, sure. No worries. I'll answer that. That's a very, very, very common thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what the argument is? Do you know what the story is? You can say it, no worries.
Yeah, that she was very young.
Yes.
Prepubescent?
Yes. No, she was not prepubescent. That would be a lie, but she was young, yes. So in Islam, or let's just say, let's use common sense. Let me first, are you from here, from this country?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
British.
Do you know the age of marriage 200 years ago in the UK? Guess, give a number.
13.
Huh?
13.
No. Lower.
10.
Lower.
No.
I'll give you a reference. But it's
200,
lower.
200 years ago.
200 years ago. We're not talking 1,400 years ago.
9.
7 years old. Do you know who says that? Sir William Blackstone. By the way, he was a jurist who lived in that time. And I'll tell you something surprising, isn't it? You know what's funny is Sir William Blackstone is being taught in Oxford and Cambridge in law universities, right? Because Sir William Blackstone has a book called Commentaries on the British Law of England. So he comments on the British law at the time. And then he says in his book, Commentaries on the British Law of England, page 110, he says a woman can be given in marriage at the age of 7, entitled to dowry. You know dowry is where you give a marital gift at the age of 9.
No way.
So
you can consummate it at 9.
not even, marriage is at 7, but the dowry is the gift. You can give it at 9, no problem. You don't need to give it at 7, you can give it at 9. But that was not only the UK. America, it was 10 years old. In the same 200 years ago, it was 10 years old. In Delaware, it was 7. So that's not something new. That was human history, and that only changed recently.
Was that also the age of consent as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that time, this is the thing. Today's life of living a life of today's life is living a life of.
Trying to listen, yeah?
Yeah, sure. Today's life of living a life of disobedience to God and hedonistic life of having intercourse was not the case. Remember, your country and other countries, Christian countries, where intercourse before marriage was wrong. According to the Bible and Judaism, intercourse before marriage is wrong, right? So since intercourse before marriage is wrong, people had only marriage. So when you say age of consent, that's a new modern concept that comes from liberalism. Before liberalism, people actually believed in marriage. They believed, okay, if you want to be with a woman, if you want to be with a woman, you actually get married to that woman, right? So there's no such thing as the age of consent in the past. It's just the age of marriage. And by the way, that's a very funny thing, because today they say the age of consent can be 14, 15, 16, but the age of marriage is only 18. So I can have intercourse with a girl, have a baby with her, but I can't marry her? Why? Where's the common sense there? Where's the logic there, right? So if you look at history, like I said to you, age of marriage was very, very low. When did it start to increase? After the Industrial Revolution, right? After the Industrial Revolution, they wanted to introduce 2 people into the workforce. They had this system of schools. And okay, let's put this number 18. Okay, let me ask you another question. What age is the right age? What age does a person become an adult? In your own estimation.
Well, what's the right age for what, sorry?
What's the right age where someone becomes, ready for marriage or adult or whatever? What's the right age?
I think when we classify them as an adult, yeah.
But that's a circular argument, basically. You're saying an adult is who we say is an adult. What's an adult?
So I guess in terms of marriage, obviously, to understand what sort of undertaking is involved when you marry someone and the things that come with that, I think you've got to be in a place where.
So you're saying society decides, or who decides?
I think we have to sort of, I think your interpretation of an adult might be different to mine and might be different to somebody else's.
Sure.
I think essentially we have an age for, say, like alcohol and for various things.
Sure.
And I think, if you said, an age of consent around sort of 16.
Okay, so
that sort of makes sense.
So that's what I'm talking about right now, right? What's the age, right? Some countries will say, age of consent is 16. Some others will say it's 18. Some countries will say 14. Philippines, I believe, not too long ago, or Japan had it 12, right? They changed it recently as well. Countries keep changing, right? Question is, what's the age? Someone says the age is 16. You say, okay, so if you are 15 years old, 364 days, 23 hours and 1 minute less from the next day, you're not an adult. but a minute later you magically become an adult. How does that make any common sense, right? So in Islam, that's not how we view adulthood, right? If you go to human history, now why am I taking you to history? Because a lot of people today look at a 9-year-old of today, or 7-year-old of today, or 6-year-old of today, and they impose that 6-year-old in the past. Things were very different. Why? There was no elementary school, kindergarten, high school. No, the kid will be born, the daughter will be there. Her next step in life is to get married. This is how women were functioning in society. Guy goes to work, a traditional kind of household. Guy goes to work. The woman, she helps in the household. When she becomes adult enough, then she gets married and she has children. That's how societies were functioning, right? Today it's a completely different story, and things are designed in a completely different way. So we cannot look at a 9-year-old of today who doesn't deal with adults, because we keep them with children like themselves, right? You don't deal with adults, they don't mature quickly. At that time, even when you were younger, you'd already be dealing with adults, you'd be going to trade with your mother and father, so their maturity psychologically was different. Now, in every dictionary in human history, if you go back like 50 or 60 years ago, what is a child? A child is someone who's under the age of puberty. A child who's someone who's under the age of puberty. It's common sense, that's what a child is, right? Once you reach puberty, then you're no longer a child. Then marriage is based on the parents. They look at you and they say, okay, is he ready for marriage, is not ready for marriage? That's what your mother and father would decide, looking at you, okay? Now, Aisha radiallahu anha, now coming back, bringing everything full circle. Why did I take you to the Britain and all of that? To tell you that history is very different than what you see in your eyes today, and you cannot implement today's standard in the past, right? So Aisha radiallahu anha, there was a marriage contract between her and the Prophet, with the Prophet Muhammad. But that marriage contract, there is no consummation, there is no intercourse. In fact, she was still with her father, Abu Bakr. And her father cares about her more than any of us would, right? That's what some people don't understand. Like, that was a marriage between two families, right? Then when she hit the age of puberty, then the marriage was consummated between her and Prophet Muhammad. Does that make sense? So Prophet waited 3 years. He did a contract, but she was with her father, no touching, nothing is happening until she reached the age of puberty. Then consummation, the marriage was consummated between her and Prophet Muhammad. But they will just talk to you about the age. Oh, she was 9 years old, or she was this age, right? Okay, yes, she was 9 years old. But I was just telling you right now, the legal age of marriage was 7 years old in this country. So why don't you basically are going to be criticizing the whole human history just to criticize Prophet Muhammad? Now you look at kings here, Richard the second or whatever, he married a 6-year-old. You look at here kings, I can name so many names for you.
Yeah, so
societies were different.
But do you think that just solely that thing in a sort of like its own sense is without comparing is necessarily a good thing, or something that's okay?
Let me answer you. In Islam, for you to marry, make a marriage contract or marry with a girl who is very young is an exception. An exception. It's not the general rule. The general rule, you would go and find a girl that is in a good age, is mature, and all of that, right? The exception to the rule is, scholars, they say, for example, let's say, I'll give you a few examples. A father has a daughter, right? He's very poor, cannot take care of his daughter financially. She's still young. So he would go and find someone, a righteous guy, and then he would make a marriage contract between him and the daughter. Not necessarily any intercourse is taking place, so he can take care of her financially, because the father cannot take care of that financial burden. Another example scholars will give, you find a very righteous person, a very good person, they say this is the best person you're probably going to find for your daughter. You want to secure that man, so you make sure to do a marriage contract between him and the daughter until the daughter is ready for marriage, and then he can marry her, just in case he doesn't go and marry someone else. Does that make sense? So with the case of Abu Bakr, who was the close companion of Prophet Muhammad, he wanted to even get closer as companions, because he was his right hand. He's the first caliphate of Islam after the Prophet Muhammad. So he is the one who introduced Aisha in that way to get married to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, right? Prophet Muhammad, in the beginning, he married his first wife. It's called Khadija. She was 15 years older than him. He was 25 and she was 40. He stayed with her until she passed away. And after she passed away, then Prophet Muhammad came to him, one of the women, companions, and then she said, let's try and find him a wife. Then he married Sauda, who is a widow, old woman, in her 50s. Prophet is not looking for, like young virgin girls or none of that, right? But the case of Abu Bakr is to bring him closer to his companion Abu Bakr, right? And because Prophet Muhammad was the best man in mankind, he's the Prophet of God. Imagine you can guarantee that a Prophet of God is going to marry your daughter. Wouldn't you take every chance to secure that marriage? I would. So they made the marriage contract, which I told you, right? Then the Prophet waited until consummation, and then consummation took place. But that's an exception. Muslims now, if you look at any stats and everywhere in the world, what age do Muslims marry? They marry within their age, usually, like it is in the rest of the world, right? So the exceptional situation. But the question is, if I want to criticize it, we'll come back to the question I asked you. Who determines the age of marriage? In Islam, we don't have an age. We have a criteria. Criteria is physical ability and maturity, and mental ability and maturity. And in the case, if the girl is younger in age, then the father, only the father, not the uncle, not the brother, no one else, only the father can give the agreement in this marriage contract, and it has to be for the benefit of the girl. If it's not for the benefit of the girl, then that father will be punished. So these are very exceptional cases and situations, if that makes sense.
So say if a girl reaches puberty at say 11.
Sure. By the way, do you know, according to the NHS, when do girls reach puberty? Or when do they menstruate? When do they puberty? From what age to what age? From 8 to 14.
Okay, so say,
today, right? Not 1,400 years ago. Today.
So say if you have a child
child, you see?
Yeah, child.
So then I'll say, okay, if that person reached puberty, then why are you calling them a child?
Because a 9-year-old is a child.
But again, which definition is that? Who defines a child by age? Is it by age? How do you define a child? Okay, I'll ask you, what is a child? You tell me.
So say if you have a 9-year-old, okay, so a child that's
But you're saying a child again.
That's reached
yes.
sort of puberty and is menstruating.
Then it's not a child anymore.
But isn't necessarily. I mean, 9. I mean, they're not going to be mentally mature.
Remember what I told you about comparing today? People going to kindergarten, going to school. Yeah.
If we look at that based on just those facts.
Sure. So you're saying today?
Is that okay?
Yeah. No. If the child, if it's not going to be a child anymore, it's going to be an adult physically.
So we say a 9-year-old adult then.
Yeah. So we're done now. We're done now with the child part. Okay. So they're physically not a child anymore.
So we say.
But you're talking about the mental maturity. But now you're talking about the mental maturity. Your question is about the mental maturity.
So yes, 2 parts. So say if 9-year-old that's menstruating.
Girl, yeah, a 9-year-old girl that already been through menstruation. Yes.
Yeah. So. But obviously isn't mentally ready at 9, you know.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Now the question, okay, that's a fantastic question. We'll come back to what I was telling you. Who is going to marry the girl with the man? In Islam, the girl requires the father's permission. The girl doesn't just go to any random man and says, okay, I love this boy, for example, I want to get married to him. Or I love this man, I want to get married to him. It doesn't work like that in Islam. In Islam, there is a wali, a guardian for the girl, and only with his approval marriage happens. Now the question is, does the father know if his daughter is mentally ready to get married or not? Does anyone else know better and care better about his own daughter than the father? Obviously not. So we say in this case the father is going to look at the girl. And if the girl is definitely, in this day and age, 100% probably, like I would say 99%, it's pretty impossibility that she would be mentally ready, then he would wait. He would wait. If there is any harm on her, meaning if he will marry her at the age of 9 and she's not ready yet psychologically and that will cause her harm, then this is unacceptable Islamically. So it's about a harm idea, right? She has to be physically and mentally ready.
So as long as the dad says it's okay, then it's okay?
No, not as long as the dad says it. I told you, the dad has to approve and it has to be for the benefit of the girl. If it's not done for the benefit of the girl, the dad will be punished in an Islamic state. You cannot just go around and do whatever you want to your daughter. Like, she's not like sheep or something, right? So you have to do it for the benefit of the girl. So that marriage is a very exceptional case, like I told you. So the dad now has to present a case. Why does he want to get his daughter married so early? What's the reason? In the case of Aisha, I give you an example. Like, that was the Prophet of God, right? And you want to make sure that your daughter marries the Prophet of God. You don't want to lose that. Now, that's an exceptional case. Now, in an everyday day-to-day situation. You go to the father and say, why are you trying to marry your girl so young? What's the reason behind it? What's the benefit in doing that? Is that good for the girl? No, if she's still 9, she cannot even comprehend the world, and you're going to give her to some stranger man. No, then you're not doing it for his benefit. For her benefit, then it's not allowed. Also, the girl's acceptance is a part of it as well. So it's not only that she has a guardian, but the girl has to approve. Prophet Muhammad said no virgin is given in marriage without her approval. She cannot just like be forced to, okay, the father thinks marry this man, so she marries that man. No, it also has to be the girl agrees, likes the person and everything, and then if he's going to do it young, there has to be a clear benefit that the father presents, and then the marriage can take place. So I'm telling you today, this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen in Muslim society, Muslim community. It doesn't happen. Also, the culture back then was very different. I told you that. Aisha, the wife of Prophet Muhammad, before Prophet Muhammad, she was already engaged to one of the people in the community, right? So this was not like the Prophet doing something out of like, you know, unordinary. That's why I gave you the example of 7 years old 200 years ago. That was just common sense at the time. Because girls, like I told you, don't go to kindergarten. You just reach puberty, they're ready to have kids, they're ready to get married. That's how societies looked at women and females at that time. Does that make sense? So it's a completely different society. So yeah, Islam, look, we hear, this is the most common criticism that people throw out against Muslims and Islam, right? But we say that's not even a part of the articles of faith of Islam. If someone were to say, okay, I believe, I'm a Muslim, I'm going to be a Muslim, but I believe Aisha married at the age of 40, not 9, for example, right? Does that take them out of Islam? No. It's not one of our articles of faith. Like, people criticize things which are not the core of the faith because they're trying to clutch to straws. But let me tell you something. Let me add you now a little bit more. Okay. We've already said now secularly, if you want to look at history, people already got married at the age of 7 in the UK. People will have to insult every single person in human history, including the UK, if they want to insult the Prophet Muhammad. It's as simple as that, really. You're going to have to throw all human history in the bed. Say, look, I'm going to pretend that people did not get married at the age of 7, like I told you, or the age of 10, or the age of...
I don't think you have to throw it all away, or sort of like... I think if
But that was everyone.
Yeah, but then you can still have that opinion from the perspective now that that's not okay just because everyone did it.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. We've reached the point that I wanted to reach. You said you can have the opinion today that's not okay. That time, these were Christian societies, right? Ruled by Judeo-Christian laws. What are you using to determine what is right and wrong? You today.
Based on my opinion, isn't it? It's based on what my values are.
Okay. So if it's a personal subjective opinion, then why should they take your opinion over my opinion or his opinion or her opinion?
Because I don't think we should be shagging kids.
No, but now again, like, nobody's doing that.
No.
But you see, you're doing an emotional game there, right? Word usage is very important, right? If you misuse words, then people misunderstand what's happening.
No, what I'm saying is,
we are against that more than you.
No, I'm not saying it. But what I'm saying is, obviously, people getting married at 7, Muslim, Christian, 200 years ago or not, that for me doesn't sit with me.
Okay, but where are you determining that is to be right or wrong? Where did you get your morality from is my question.
Because, so I have a stepdaughter that's 10 years old.
Sure, if I took you in a time machine, let me try to help you.
If you were around in Roman time, Greek time, you'd probably be very different.
It was the same ages of marriage, by the way.
Plus the things that are okay.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask you this question. If I put you in a time machine now and I take you 200 years ago, and you had like a niece or you had a family member or whatever, do you think you'll have the same view that you have right now? Or you'll be like, okay, look, it's a part of society, everyone is doing it, you don't need to even think about it.
It'd be such a figure of speech because that's not how it is. You know
no, but you're not, there's a hypothetical that you can understand,
it's really
right?
Hypothetical.
Yeah, it is, but you can understand it. You get my argument then. My argument is you're saying morality is relative, which means it's based on when you're born. So if 200 years ago, if 10 years in the future, the law changes that the the age of consent is 14, then it becomes okay now because society thinks it's okay.
But if that happened in 10 years from now, it doesn't just.
Well, let's say 100 years, let's say 20 years. It doesn't really matter.
I'm alive.
Yes.
So say in 10, 20 years, that it becomes the norm that people.
Sure. And then they give you research. They tell you, for example, the girls are stronger. The girls are stronger, and it's a fact, by the way. If they give birth in the earlier years after puberty, right? They're stronger. Their bodies are stronger. They can be stronger in health and giving birth. You can ask the specialists, right? They start giving you research and they start giving you reasoning, and they say, okay, and we have this system to protect any problems that may happen. And you'll start saying, oh, okay, it's all right, no worries.
I don't think I would.
That's why it's hypothetical, right? It's hypothetical. Hypothetical is there. Hypothetical is there to explore the reasoning. Hypothetical is
where you're going with it,
right? Yeah. So I'm not giving you a hypothetical to say this will happen or will not. I'm giving you a hypothetical to tell you to explore the reasoning where you're coming from. So, in our tradition, we would say morality comes from God. God is the one who would determine what is the right age, good age, bad age, or not. And God would not give us something against our nature. That's what I told you in Islam. Allah doesn't say go marry younger kids or go marry. No. There's no such thing. But there are exceptions. Like I said, I'll give you. Let me ask you a question. I want your opinion. Let's say you said the age of consent or age of marriage is 16, 18, 19, whatever it is, right? The girl hits puberty at the age of 9. Okay? Do you know what hitting puberty entails? It entails being sexually active. Do you know you're more sexually active at obviously teenage girls, teenage years, than you are?
What do you mean sexually?
It means you have sexual desires. You think about sexuality, you think about sexual desires, you have sexual thoughts, you have the feeling of wanting to do something sexual. That's what sexual urge is. That's what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So, and that is more in teenagers than it would be than when you get older. So now, can you tell me what's your solution? You know, we see what happens in the UK. You talk about shagging. You have girls and boys shagging at 13, 14 and being pregnant.
Absolutely.
Okay, sure. So what's your solution for those teenagers? You tell me your solution.
I don't think I need to come up with a solution.
So it's okay that they.
No, so because I am.
So what should they do? What should they do?
It's like asking me how I would do this, how I would do this.
No. You said you have a family member. A family member.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Let's say she's a teenage girl and she has some desires. Then how she comes to you, for example. I feel this way. I want to do that. What are you going to tell her to do?
I would maybe sort of ask her to wait. You know, if she came with that, I would maybe.
You realize that's not a solution, right? And you realize that's why you have those kids shagging because their parents tell them to wait, but they don't want to wait.
No, but that's the thing. It's like I'm obviously going to speak from what I believe, and I would say I would say wait. I'd say that.
Yeah. So she's 10 or 12, and you say, okay, just wait 7-8 years.
I wouldn't. I think the conversation would probably go a bit differently.
No, but okay. So how would it go? But the gist of the conversation is that you're going to tell her to wait 7-8 years.
No, I think it'd be a case of like, look, you see, I would use the word child. I would use the word, you're still growing up. You know what I mean? I would use.
Okay, she will tell you, I feel this way, and she has these emotions, right? And even if you tell her that when she goes to school,
I think
Mark in the school and Matthew,
I think we both know. I think we both know that regardless, they're going to do what they're going to do.
No, but now this is the point I wanted to reach. Let me shake your hand on that. That's the point I wanted to reach. If they're going to do what they're going to do, then why not do it in under the eyes of the family and the governing of the family, then respect in the eyes of God and something called marriage, where you can monitor their behavior, you can make sure that what they're doing is good, right? That it's not just a kid who is playing with the girl, whether it's your daughter, your niece, or whatever, just using her as a body. You know that very well. You know how it is in the society, right? You just use her and go to the next one. No, but marriage is a institution. You have two families involved now. You cannot play these games, right? Your family's involved, their family's involved. You have responsibilities of taking care of her financially. If they're going to do it either way, then why not do it in the good way?
Because I just think something like that would be too huge of a take-in to.
Do you know what marriage is? It just depends how you look at marriage. You're looking at Hollywood marriage.
I guess so,
marriage in Islamic way is a very simple thing. It's like allowing them to have intercourse in the eyes of God.
And I guess, in terms of like, sort of like how I view marriage, it's probably very different.
Yeah.
Than I guess how how Islam maybe.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So the way I sort of see marriage is something that.
I don't understand marriage in the West, I'm going to be honest, because people live with each other, having intercourse with each other, do everything, and they're like, okay, let's get married. What's the point? Like, you're already doing everything, right?
So yeah, but I think marriage is a massive undertaking, personally.
Sure, that's why I'm telling you, look at Islamic perspective of what marriage is. Marriage is a contract which allows you to have intercourse in a permissible way and gives you certain responsibilities towards the girl and towards the man.
Is because I just think at that sort of younger age, in terms of undertaking something so big as marriage, isn't maybe the most effective time, you know what I mean?
Undertaking things as big as shagging in the trees and becoming pregnant and coming to their father, either aborting and killing a child, millions of children, it's the same thing.
But I'm not talking about those things.
But that's what happens. When you say no to this...
But there's lots of things that happen, isn't there?
No.
There's people that...
But you're missing the point, my friend. You're missing the point is if you say no to this, we have this Islamic solution, right? Okay. I'm not saying everyone needs to do that. There are people who can wait. There are people who can take the time until they get married. No worries. But I'm telling you, here is the wisdom of a creator, right? You have this issue which can happen. You can have these kids which can have these desires which can want to do that. You don't have a solution for me. And you see what is the problem when you don't give them a solution. Wait is not going to happen because all parents will tell them to wait. But none of them wait. They go and do it like you said, they're going to do what they're going to do anyways. So if they're going to do what they're going to do anyways, then Islam says, okay, if they will do something like this, here is a better structure in which we can govern things, can monitor them, govern them, and can make sure that these things are done in the appropriate way. That's what Islam says. Islam is not like I told you, Islam is not encouraging any specific age. Islam says, look, there's a criteria: physical maturity, mental maturity, and then the parent can look, okay, is my child ready to get married, or is my kid get ready to get married or not? And then they can get them married, right? Whichever age, 20, 19, 18, 25, the parents can see and can determine, right? And can accept the man who's coming after investigating them. This is how marriage works. But you asked about a very specific marriage, right? A very specific situation. So that's why I was giving you this whole understanding. But you don't see Muslims going around today getting married at this age, whether it's at 9 or 12. You don't see that happening, right? Because Islam doesn't prescribe that to us. Marriage is one of the things that we call from the customs. So that the customs at the time, this was the common thing. This is how things happen because there is no kindergarten, there is no elementary school. Society is functioning that way. The girl gets puberty, she's ready to start a family. People died very young as well. You had a very low life expectancy, right? You didn't have the medicine we have. So people had to multiply. They fought in wars. We cannot use today's lens and apply it to the past. And Muslims don't do that. But we have a problem when someone comes and says, your prophet is this and your prophet is that, because he did this 1,100 years ago. Like, we just say you're stupid to that person, right? Because, why are you stupid? Because you're ignoring the rest of human history, where this was a normal thing, and you're ignoring the environment and how things were at the time, right? And you're coming criticizing based on how things are today. But you cannot do that. It's a fallacy. It's called presentism, right? You cannot apply the morals and values of today's situations and ignore how things were in the past. You got to look at everything in its context, right? So today, as I said to you, that's an exception, and scholars put extra conditions like the one I'm telling you. Father's agreement, done for the benefit. Why? So they make sure that this is governed, done in the right way. And an exceptional thing where the father can present, okay, here is a benefit that I'm missing. If I don't do it now, I'm missing this benefit. Unless he presents this case, if there is any harm, then we say no, not allowed to do this. Does that make sense? So Islam is very detailed. You don't just say do this or don't do that. No, there's very laws for every single thing. But like I said, again, you have to go back, where is the source of morality? Here is the source of morality in Islam, and here's the reasoning I'm giving you, the wisdoms and reasoning behind the source of morality. Because it's objective, it's from God. Now, if someone is not religious, you can say it's my opinion, based on my culture, and I'll tell you the same thing. Okay, cultures differ, can be the difference in the future and different. If morality is relative, then there is no morality. It's just depending what the society thinks in that day, right? And if someone says I'm Christian, I'll say, okay, Christianity, there's no age of marriage in the Bible. There's no age of marriage in the Bible. The Bible, Ezekiel talks about the girls being in the marriageable age. It talks about her body, like body parts growing, which is puberty, essentially. That's what Ezekiel talks about. You have, for example, you have the biggest church fathers being betrothed or getting married at the age of 12 or whatever. Same thing, right? The age of marriage was even 12 at the church and the Roman Empire at the time. This was how things were, right? So again, we cannot apply that and change reality to them. So Muslims today live their lives, no problem, you get married like everyone else gets married. And if there is an exceptional case, then okay, present. Why is this a good thing? For what reason? What's the benefit for the child? Why do you want to do it that way? So I haven't seen anything like this in my life. I haven't seen it. Because today it doesn't happen because the cultural norms changed. And like I said, marriage is a cultural practice. So you can change with the norms. And Allah tells us in the Quran and command the urf. If the culture is something, command to do that thing, as long as it doesn't disagree with God or is very bad, right? Then you can follow that, like how you dress or how you do certain cultural things. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
thank you so much.
No worries, no worries. Is there anything else that you want to ask about?
No, you've helped me so much.
No worries. Okay, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
No, thanks very much.
See you. Bye bye. Thank you.